junctures in the battle up there to defend and to support Scott Walker.
Right.
And when we went up there and watched the AstroTurf protesting of people taken from out of the state and people from the University of Wisconsin, students and leftist professors creating this nonstop thing, when you were there, you would see that the peripheral streets were filled with huge satellite vans that include ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, and even foreign news bureaus were there. I'm talking with massive satellites. And if you walked around that 30,000 strong, a lot of these people who profess to be teachers were abiding by incredibly awful signs, you know, the Coke suckers and all that type of stuff, things that would have been highlighted if it were a Tea Party, if it went the other way. But there were all those satellite vans with their $20,000 cameras walking around, and you never saw them play up the extremists that were dominating the messaging in that group. But what you also didn't see of these investigative journalists who lecture me and lecture us on our newfangled journalism were state, state employees who were doctors doing fake doctor's notes. Okay, and so the doctors who are revered in our society were working in coordination with the teachers that we were told were virtuous and needed, to have everything and then some, because they're teachers, and teachers are the best, and you can't challenge anything because they're virtuous. And you're watching two revered classes exchange in an immoral activity. Yes. And the satellite trucks were ignoring it, okay? But what happened was Jim Hoft, you were there, weren't you? Yeah, and Jim Hoft, New Media, St. Louis New Media, Vixen. Can I make him an official Vixen in Smart Girl Politics East?
Okay, you're right.
Troublemaker.
You're right.
We were there, and people praised us. They're like, wow, I can't believe you were able to catch the doctors giving these fake. Let me finish.
Currently, right now, I find that appalling.
Right. So they were doing this so blatantly. I had to apologize. Like, it really was not an extraordinary act to go out there and to see dozens of these people dressed as doctors laughing and saying, would you like a fake doctor's note? I got one, he got one, anyone got one. How is it that the mainstream media missed it and was only we with our flip phones pictured it? It's because they're playing on the other team. It is a cultural civil war out there, and the mainstream media has been exposed. The New York Times has been exposed, ABC, CBS, NBC. George Stephanopoulos goes from working in the political office of the White House to being the mediator, okay? Fareed Zakaria right now is on CNN talking about the debt ceiling when he's an advisor to the president and he's a newsman. That Christiane Amanpour takes over George Stephanopoulos' job. She's married to Jamie Rubin from the Clinton administration's State Department spokesperson. Todd Purdom from the New York Times was married to Dee Dee Myers. It's the Democrat media complex, and we finally discovered that the biggest problem, the wall between democracy and the people, is the mainstream media, because they're intentionally misinforming us. And so you're $150, you don't even have to be minimally observant in order to have scoops that make their way through the viral media on the internet. So I'm telling you, as a Pied Piper, please join the new media revolution. Have your video camera with you all the time and confront Union AstroTurf, because all you have to do is ask basic questions like, why are you here? And there's springs fly out of their ocular cavity because they're robots. They're programmed robots, and if you ask one question, they explode or implode, and you'll have human debris on you.
Conservative cauldron on
Yeah, right. I love the wicked things. That's. Okay, the young lady in the blue over there.
So would you like to change your glasses there, my friend?
Oh, okay, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. The smart girl over there with the beard.
Yeah. You know, as we cut through the rhetoric and the point counterpoint of the major issues of the day, it seems that the elephant in the room today is the pragmatic incrementalists over here and the dogmatic idealists over here, and the dichotomy between those. And I was just wondering if you could address that whole issue.
Good.
Yes.
That's how it's supposed to be.
No, I mean within the movement.
We wouldn't be having this, we would not be having the debt ceiling debate. This entire thing wouldn't have happened had there not been that dynamic. We are now dictating what CNN. Anderson Cooper would like to be talking about teabagging, literal teabagging. We're dictating what's happening in Washington right now because of that tension. So keep it up. Yeah, that's the answer.
Hey, Andrew. In my opinion, as a conservative, you're the only dark spot on your record. Amazing work is the charade, apparent disingenuous edits of the charade video. I wonder if you could explain what happened there.
Well, I'm being sued right now by Miss Sherrod, and the day that the videos came out, Sherrod said, this is the NAACP's fault. They got into a battle with the Tea Party. And so before she got programmed by somebody, I think it's Media Matters and the institutional left said, no, this is our opportunity to take advantage of to go after Breitbart. Did you read my article?
No.
Exactly, that's it.
The videos,
Wait. Did you read the article?
No.
Okay, did you watch the 2 videos that were posted?
Cut. I just saw the cut.
What do you mean cuts?
The cuts that showed her apparently making anti-white comments, but not clarifying after.
Okay. If you read the article, the 2 videos, which were accompanied an article, said, eventually her basic humanity informed her to help the white farmer. That's the perspective. At the very end of this allegedly doctored video, which is simply an excerpt, it has her stating, but then I realized it's not about black versus white, it's about rich versus poor. Okay? That was in the video. There's a guy by the name of Chris Matthews who hates my guts. Okay? Why is he on television when this talking point is brought up, when people on my side refuse to read the article and refuse to watch the full context, who go along with the mainstream media, the Democrat media complex's attempts to marginalize me and attack me when I offered her redemption in the article and I offered the redemption in the actual video. It wasn't about her. This was about the NAACP attacking the Tea Party and stating that it was racist, and using as a centerpiece of that at some Tea Parties there are some posters that have Obama as represented as having been from Kenya, okay? As if we can control millions and millions of people who come on their own volition, including leftists who go there with those signs in order to get caught so that they could put that on CNN to show it. Okay, so that's point number 1. The NAACP the week before, for 7 days, went on ABC, CBS, and NBC to talk about how they were going to do some type of a public statement at their yearly convention, a public declaration of the Tea Party's racism based upon that narrative, and secondly, that the Tea Party hurled the N-word at Congressmen Carson and Lewis 15 times, and I had offered $100,000 that I didn't have. Okay? And if you could show me that it was said once, not 15 times, in a public event where they said there were 400 people, including their own people, including the media, you show me one time, not 15 times as Congressman Carson said. And even then, the mainstream media kept playing it up, and they said the absence of video doesn't mean it didn't happen. Then we showed 4 videos of them walking down from the exact place, unobstructed, not surrounded by a mob. No police took them to safety. No police report was ever issued. And so when Ben Jealous went out there and stated on ABC, CBS, and NBC, if you, as a member of the Tea Party, if the top person at FreedomWorks decided we're going to condemn the Democratic Party for racism, there's no way ABC, CBS, or NBC would allow for you to go on the air on Monday, let alone Monday through Sunday. They wanted to negatively brand the Tea Party, and by Thursday I was so pissed off. I had access to this guy who told me about what Sherrod had said at this thing, and that the audience was like, uh-huh. When she said, and then I sent him to one of his own, I'm sorry, if I were to say that, if I were to talk in that language, I guarantee you Anderson Cooper would call me a racist. I don't care if there was even a resolution. At the time, when I was talking about this, and I still don't understand why I'm not allowed to have an opinion in the United States of America. Okay? This is my opinion. Okay? She also said in that video, she said of all of you people, that this is because of a black president, and the disagreement over Obamacare is based upon because of his race. Okay? If you watch the entire thing, it's a very disturbing video from beginning to end. But the mainstream media wanted to attack me, and I was offended by how many in the conservative movement would not defend me when I've defended the Tea Party, when they wouldn't, because they're afraid of what Ben Jealous has the power to do, and that is to accuse people on the right of being racist without evidence. Shirley Sherrod said that I was a racist without evidence, okay? She's the one who should be sued right now, okay? She's the one that said that I want to bring blacks back to slavery, and her attorney said that I was basically like a person who lynched somebody, okay? And they're the ones who stepped it up against me, and nobody in the conservative movement, or very few, defended me because they're afraid of being called racist. Well, who's the only person in the conservative movement who's stupid enough to go out there and go, I'm fighting for black conservatives. I became a conservative because I saw how this godforsaken media treated Clarence Thomas because he didn't have the right politics. So I'm standing up to the bullies at the NAACP, and I stand by standing by going up against the bullies of the NAACP, and read the goddamn story and watch the video, everyone.
Wow, after that, Andrew, I just want to thank you.
I'm going to become a Wiccan. Only way to beat these bastards.
I want to thank you, and I want to thank James O'Keefe and Hannah Giles for all they've done.
How about Lila Rose while
And
we're at it?
Rose, and
Christian Hartsock. There's a lot of them.
And it seems like...
Yeah. Phil Cristofanelli
Okay.
from Wash U, who went to the who exposed the labor studies nonsense at University of Missouri St. Louis and University of Missouri at Kansas City. Well, I can't believe we're this big long into the conference. Adam Sharp's here, another person who's been fighting the fight. Jeremy Siegel, Rebel pundit. Both of them are, I mean, if you want to know, I mean, people, there are a lot of rackets in politics. If the only money, the best money I would spend is if those two guys put on a conference to teach you how to do what the mainstream media should be doing. Those two guys over there, if you want to talk to some two people, Adam Sharp and Jeremy are in the scrum every single day, and they know, just like that troublemaker over there, Jim Hoff, how to make the news on a budget of zero.
In that vein, it seems like everywhere you look, you know, it's not just the people you mentioned who are finding things. I have a mother with dementia, Alzheimer's, and in 2008 I went to visit her and she had an I voted sticker on. So I thought maybe pumpkins, you know, who made the best pumpkin or something. This wasn't a true I voted sticker, but it was. And then just before 2010, I was actually in a nursing home in the Alzheimer's unit, and anyone who could sign their name was being allowed to vote. I wrote the facility and got no answer whatsoever. I know there, I mean, there's that bright
That's
line.
a huge story. And unfortunately, Jim Hoff is closer to you than me, so I guarantee you, Gateway Pundit will be breaking that story.
Well, I did write you guys. I got a case number
really?
at the time.
Well, we only,
You were over. I'm sure you were overwhelmed.
you have
with
no
it.
idea, but keep trying.
Yeah.
If you knew how few people we have working for us, I think it's something like 8 or 9 full-time people, and that's for about 6 sites. And it's we're understaffed, we're underfunded. The conservative movement funds really bad and ineffective politicians. New media is where the action is. Let's give credit to the left for putting their money where their mouth is. And they already control ABC, CBS, NBC, the New York Times, billions of dollars in media assets in order to push the narrative. And in order to create an extra layer of protection, Media Matters gets about $18 million a year to create another layer of protection of the Democrat media complex. Ariana Huffington was given $60 million for the Huffington Post, $315 million of work. Where are the conservative billionaires to realize that politicians are afraid of pushing the narrative forward? They play defense. It's the new media that goes out there and exposes that which the Democrats are doing and doesn't push the narrative forward on our behalf. So I'm sorry that we didn't respond. We have 8 people. I would love, come back to us, because there are a lot of organizations that are trying to expose this. Of course, it's a woman-led group. Catherine Engelbrecht of True the Vote down in Houston is trying to franchise this voter, fraud situation and these type of tactics. So find True the Vote and Catherine Engelbrecht. Huge, huge, huge resource out there. And if any of you people are into exposing voter fraud and want to be involved in that, please reach out to Catherine Engelbrecht, Catherine with a C, ENGLEBRECHT, truethevote.org.
Thank you.
Mr. Breitbart, on behalf of everyone here, we just want to thank you for all that you're doing, and we stand behind you.
Yeah.
Those who will not support you, who are in the upper power structure of the Conservative Party, we need to call them. We need to call them out and tell them that we need this support, and maybe we can help stand behind you, because we got your back.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
I realize this isn't something in your normal area of what you do, but have you ever considered doing a documentary on George Soros and the rise of this evil man?
Yes, I mean, it is a great idea. I was just in Western Michigan, where a lot of people were apologetic to me that Traverse City up the coast is where Michael Moore lives, and they were talking about how extravagant his lifestyle was. And I find that for film and comedy, there's nothing better than hypocrisy, to expose hypocrisy. And so doing a film on Michael Moore would be humorous for me. And it would be about his conspicuous consumption versus the lifestyle he tries to portray. And the working title is Living Large. But Soros is a good idea. You saw the zeal with which the mainstream media that ignores George Soros and his activities globally, and that he seems to be just a human cancer. You know, his entire business model is about trying to bring countries and monetary systems down for his own benefit, and it seems to me that he has a special disdain for this country and its freedoms.
Well, he can also make more
And he
billions
does,
of dollars
and he does.
off of us and our
And
dollar
on
bottom
Brazilian
line.
oil, you know, it's like we have more oil up in Alaska than you can possibly imagine, and I'm a simpleton, I admit it. I'm not a scientist. I was a C student in math and science, but I really can't conjure better territory to explore than tundra. Okay, I'm like, gosh, in an ideal world, you know, what would be the best place for there to be vast deposits of oil? Tundra. And
I lived in Alaska.
the Democrats are against that, but they're for saving the earth. Even I can't wait to tell them Brazil is part of the earth too, and so is Saudi Arabia, where we get all of this stuff. And why are they doing this? They can feel good about themselves in the United States, while their friends make billions off of it down in Brazil, where there aren't the same level of standards and they don't have the same level of technological know-how how to do it without degrading the earth. And so they're giving billions away to our competitors' economies while we're handcuffed, while they're hurting the environment that they claim to support. These people are the biggest hypocrites in the world. They are worth our constant vigilance and attacking. This is what this whole movement's about, is exposing this type of garbage.
Yes.
So maybe I will. If somebody wants to fund me to do a George Soros thing, I'll tell one George Soros story. After the election, my wife's birthday is November. I took her to New York to go see a play. We're walking around Midtown Manhattan, maybe a week after the election. George Soros is weighing heavy in my mind that he was able to sway the 2008 election cycle the way he was and just throw so many millions towards so many 501c3s and 527s and 501c4s. I'm like, my God, I can't believe that this guy has this much sway in this thing. I just absolutely wanted to metaphorically strangle him. And my wife, we're walking around Midtown Manhattan. I said, I thought after plays all these restaurants were supposed to be open. So we just kept walking up and down the street. Sorry, who's that? This Italian restaurant, it's closed. I'm sorry. I'm like, wow, we've got to go eat. We've got to eat. So we walked and we walked. We finally got to Columbus Circle, and there's a place called Jean George. I think that's the name of the restaurant.
Yeah.
And it's in the Trump Tower. And we're like, hi, are you guys open? Yeah, we're open. And we sat down, and there was only one other couple in the restaurant, and it was George Soros and a lovely-looking woman, you know, probably in her mid-50s. And it was my wife's birthday, and so I was like, oh my gosh, I have to be on my best behavior. And I want to have a confrontation with said man. And so the most I could get out of my wife, because I knew that if I threw a fit, it just wasn't going to work out in terms of me and the wife thing that evening. Because she doesn't like the political part of my existence to the degree that I do it. So on a birthday, I'm supposed to be on my best behavior. All I asked of her was to pretend she was taking a picture of me. And I said, okay, now, I really don't want to do this. I go, please just take a picture. And she went, took a picture, uploaded it to Facebook, and underneath the table, I took the photo and I wrote to all my friends, like, I'm sitting next to George Soros. That's my George Soros. I'd like to make a documentary about him. Did anyone know that? I decided that about 90 seconds ago.
What you said last night about going to 32 parties and seeing blacks there speaking and how the mainstream media ignores that. And I was just drawing a parallel to there's a group of journalists who are very angry because Al Sharpton is going to get his own show on MSNBC. They're black journalists and they can't get any airtime on MSNBC. But Al Sharpton, who's a race-baiting pimp, is going to get his own show.
Got it. Well, we're on Al. The thing is, they want us to do what the rest of white America does, is cow to the intimidation, to say that you're not allowed to be critical of somebody because they're black. And I always found that Bush was more than sufficiently articulate. I totally understood everything that came out of his mouth. I really did. And I didn't like how the media said, oh, he's inarticulate. Okay, I guess he ended sentences on participles or whatever, like
Preposition.
Right, preposition. Big deal. But he said the soft bigotry of lowered expectations. And if you can't call out Al Sharpton after his history of not just race baiting, but the amount of death in the wake of his race baiting is unbelievable.
Yes.
What he did in the Tawana Brawley incident, that the Caucasian liberal establishment abides by him speaks to their lack of standards at a very base level. He's disgusting. He's a disgusting human being. It's not cute. It's not cute. And yet MSNBC puts him up there. Now let's talk about MSNBC, what it is. This is, first of all, never called MSNBC. This is NBC News. It is NBC News. And NBC is part of an amalgam now of Comcast and previously exclusively of General Electric, which is getting tens of billions of dollars in eco-imagination, windmill, green energy gobbledygook, okay? And so they're getting government money, and GE's not paying any taxes, okay? And then this is provable. The administration is very much run by, formerly, Andy Stern of the SEIU, been in the White House more than anyone, Richard Trumka of the AFL-CIO. And so SEIU, AFSCME, AFSCME, all these unions basically are the president's proxy, dictating the community organizing you saw in Wisconsin, dictating the policies that you're seeing. Media Matters is an organization that's funded by Soros, but it's also funded by the AFL-CIO and the SEIU. So when Kenneth Gladney was beaten that day in St. Louis, Media Matters was there as the beating was happening to clean up for the SEIU and the AFL-CIO and the president, because they knew that they were going to be punching back twice as hard that day. And so guess where NBC News gets its information? Verbatim from Media Matters. So you've got the unions basically paying very little money in order to get a bunch of quasi-journalists acting as media watchdogs to write press releases every single day that create narrative that goes straight on NBC News on behalf of a news organization that's being subsidized by the government. They use the term fascism and they throw it around for people who believe in individualism. And, that doesn't even make sense. This is the definition of fascism. And it's happening at NBC News.
Yeah.
So I guess my question to you is, in light of the fact that it's so unpopular to be black or be a conservative, and so few
You
black
tell me,
people,
sister.
I know. So few people are willing to stand up against their family and their friends and just say, you know what, I'm a conservative, deal with it. I know we're seeing a shift, but when you go around to the Tea Parties, are you seeing a shift, or are you seeing a shift? You talked about the revolution in Hollywood. Are you seeing it? Because I've seen some polling that shows that, Obama's support has decreased.
It's over for the Democratic Party if they lose the black vote. That's why the Tea Party is such an existential threat to it. That's why before the Tea Party even existed, it was being accused of being racist. That's why.
Right.
Why they framed Obamacare as civil rights legislation. As they were passing this unbelievably unpopular, non-bipartisan thing, they were framing it as if it was akin to civil rights legislation. That's why Nancy Pelosi, that cynical, I'm not going to call her a witch, because I don't want to offend anyone in the room. Is that she sent out the Congressional Black Caucus to walk amongst that group that was majority white because they were looking to they wanted to get a YouTube moment that they could use as the ultimate evidence in perpetuity going into the 2010 election cycle. That's why she went walking through there with that incredible shrinking woman-sized gavel, okay? That's why you had Jesse Jackson Jr. talk about cynicism, the guy who tried to buy the Senate seat in, what a good group of people the Democrats have become. That's why I left him. And he's walking through the crowd like this. Like he was looking, it's like, these people are going to attack me. You know, they walked like in a group as if they were, you know, expecting a clash, and they didn't get the clash. You saw Sheila Jackson Lee giving the V signal like this. There are tunnels underneath that they could have walked through. Nancy Pelosi showed her cards that they, with their video cameras, were looking for a moment, and they didn't get it, and when they didn't get it, a boob by the name of Congressman Andre Carson, a boob by the name of Congressman Andre Carson, spoke into Carrie Pickett of the Washington Times tape recorder. So we have the audio, and she says we were walking out of the Cannon building, and 400 people surrounded us. It was a mob. He said this, it was a page out of a time machine. I don't understand that metaphor. I honestly don't. But if there's an English major here who can teach me what a page out of a time machine looks like, that's what he said. And so there are 400 people, and they start yelling the N-word. And one of the reporters says, how many people were there? 400 people. There were 15 people yelling the N-word. N-word 15 times. They were circled. We thought that they were going to throw stones or rocks at us. So he's describing a mob. He's describing a mob outside of the Cannon House building. That's pretty strong visual imagery, wouldn't you say? The N-word 15 times with 400 people there. How many? Everybody show me how many audio recorders we have and video recorders we have in the room. Just put them up in the air. Okay, look at that. Okay, it was like 50, 60%. So 400 people. Don't you think that there would be one video or audio representation that the mob formed, that there was a circle of 400 people, that they were under a threat? He said that the police eventually caught wind of what was happening and escorted them out. Don't you think that there would be a Capitol Police report that happened? And that it didn't happen. The $100,000 shut them up. If they really did have this incident happen, which ABC, CBS, and NBC and CNN played up, when I offered the $100,000, why is it that Congressmen Carson and Lewis and the Democratic Party went silent? And then I went to Steve Bannon, whose film we're going to be I said, the problem is that they've figured out that the Tea Party's weakness is it has no central authority, and so it can accuse the Tea Party of anything it wants, and it can't defend against itself. So we got into a conference call. Are there any Tea Party leaders that were in that conference call here? Yeah, okay. Jamie Radke, you were on that phone call, and we said we need to create an impromptu alliance. I think it was something like 75 or so, and we issued a letter to the Congressional Black Caucus saying we will not stand for any racism, and this accusation of this horrible incident, we would like to get to the bottom of it and investigate. We sent that letter to the Congressional Black Caucus, and they did not respond because they knew that they made it up. And they didn't expect that somebody would be stupid enough to follow up on it. That's me. I'm that stupid. I am that stupid. And that's why when they went silent on it, they stopped talking about it because they know, wow, we just got totally busted. So when months later, Ben Jealous, that idiot at the NAACP who's taken a good organization and helped be part of a movement to destroy it, when he goes out there and starts using as the centerpiece of his argument that the Tea Party is being condemned officially by the NAACP because of an incident that didn't happen, I'm sorry if I got a little pissed off. And I went on national radio and I said, Ben Jealous, you can go to hell. In a summer of discontent where the country is in peril economically, you are picking at the race scab. You're picking at it for political gain. How dare you? How dare you do that? And I said, I have video that shows your group behaving in a way that if it were done by the other side, you would be using that to condemn the Tea Party. And when the audience reacted, when she was talking, when Sherrod was talking about how she sent him on to his own kind and didn't give the full support to him that she couldn't, the audience was murmuring, going, They were agreeing with the sentiment before she even had her alleged massive epiphany, which at the very end of her epiphany, she says it's not about black versus white, it's about rich versus poor. And she paused and she said, well, it is about black versus white. So she stopped herself from having the full epiphany. Again, I'm sorry that it's my opinion that when she stops herself from making a full thing, my opinion is this. It's my opinion. Use this in the court case. It's my opinion. You're allowed to have an opinion in the United States of America. This is a First Amendment issue. I go, she's a Marxist. She's a Marxist. Her background is being a Marxist, and so her epiphany means I'm now willing to help poor white people. So I'm willing to help poor black people. This is like a little cross here. There are 4 little sections. I will help poor white people. I will help poor black people. I'll help poor rich black people. There's one little square there. That's the rich white people. The same rich white people that my perception is that many in the NAACP consider Republicans rich white people, and it's okay to vilify the people in this country who are doing well, who create the jobs. And this is the type of class warfare that is splitting this country in half, that Barack Obama is central to, and that's what community organizing is. That's why Acorn goes to the executives' front porches and protests in front of their house with bullhorns and scares the crap out of 13-year-old kids who hide in their bathrooms because community organizing is being done in America and the mainstream media won't even pay attention to it. So I'm going to stand up against this type of brutal, brutal thuggery by Marxists. I'm sorry. And I hope that people will stand behind me in this type of thing because this is a pro bono case, okay, that Kirkland and Ellis, Obama's #2 donor, Kirkland and Ellis is doing this pro bono against me, and I have to spend millions of dollars in order to defend myself. They're doing to me what they did to Sarah Palin. If you're effective, they sue you. And they're trying to shut me up, and they're not going to shut me up. This is